Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. As the World Economic Forum enters day 3 in Davos, Europe faces several challenges, from Trump's Greenland ambitions to the creation of his self-styled Board of Peace. Nations like Poland are caught between the raw power of the United States and the rules-based order of the European Union. Navigating this transatlantic tension, Poland's President Karol Nawrocki must weigh constitutional, diplomatic and security concerns, while Central and Eastern Europe watches closely. And joining us to understand the implications of all this is Renata Mieńkowska-Norkiene, political scientist at the University of Warsaw. Good to have you back on TVP World. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation. Good morning.
I do want to jump right into this Board of Peace. I mean, we know that Trump is going to make a lot about this in the next coming days. I want to go to a quote that he said to an answer to a reporter just at the White House before he left for Davos on if this Board of Peace would replace the United Nations. He said right away, it might, but then went on to say, as he usually does, good things mixed with bad things, potential of the UN, but it's failed. How do we interpret that? Can this actually realistically replace the United Nations? Even if it doesn't, what does it actually do to the credibility of the United States as a member state and the United Nations and everything else? Give us your take.
Well, first and foremost, no, it cannot and it should not replace the United Nations. You know, it's not so easy to replace United Nations. Even though we know that it's a highly imperfect organization and that it doesn't solve numerous problems that we have been facing, in particular, of course, recently. We know its construction is really far from perfect, also as regards the question of the Security Council and its composition, and so on and so forth. However, Board of Peace is something that we should actually consider a private initiative of Donald Trump. Let's not forget that he is going to be a leader there, no matter whether he will stay on the post of the President of the United States or not, which basically means that he wants to create for somebody else's money, because let's be honest, this will be for the money of the members of this Board of Peace. He wants to create a group of people dependent on him, because these people would belong to that board, even though they might lose their posts in national politics, in national political systems. So this is also an aberration which we shouldn't forget about. And at the end of the day, it would mean that Donald Trump simply tries to create a group of people whom he will manage and who will pay to Donald Trump for this managing. And he will simply, with the use of those people, he will invest, he will benefit from supporting, let's say, reconstruction of Gaza, maybe in the future also of Ukraine. But let's not forget who's in the Board of Peace. It's Putin, it's Lukashenko. I think what sober, normal, democratic countries should do, in particular member states of the European Union, they should definitely boycott this initiative, because it will bring nothing, absolutely nothing good. The opposite. It will make Donald Trump, or it will assure Donald Trump that he's allowed to lead the world, or to delusionally imagine that he can lead the world this way. If we give up and if we just let him do what he does, it's definitely going to lead to a total disorder and total chaos in international relations. It's highly, highly risky, in particular for such countries as Poland. But Mark Carney spoke about it on behalf of Canada, also for such countries as Canada. So middle size and smaller countries on international scene, it would be highly, highly risky for those countries to participate in something like that and to legitimize something like that.
And also, just the information that we have right now, we have currently 8 nations who've agreed to this. I mean, they include everyone from, as we said, Belarus, also Argentina, Vietnam, Israel. I believe in the last sort of few hours has now accepted, although they were against this initially, had some skepticism of it. But I want to come to the point where you've said Europe should boycott this. I mean, Hungary, maybe no surprise. Viktor Orban has said he's going to be joining. There have been invitations sent out, as you said, to Vladimir Putin, also to European leaders as well. What sort of the direction, you said they should boycott it, but what if that unity is once again challenged? Let's say if a country like France changes its mind. Macron said no, he may change his mind. If Germany says yes, damned if you do, damned if you don't. What should happen next if a European country joins, if any other major country joins this? What should the approach be? Will there be a unified approach to all this?
Well, let's not forget that we don't count Hungary as our ally within the European Union on full term. So we should forget about Viktor Orban for the moment. I think here the European Union is just waiting for the elections in April, and then we'll see how to react to this situation. Germany didn't say, obviously, quite clearly yes to the initiative. Let's not forget that Manfred Weber from EPL, no longer than yesterday, in the European Parliament, agreed on not debating and then not giving its consent by the European Parliament to the trade agreement with the United States, which basically means that the European Parliament is now opposing Trump's initiatives and Trump's threats, which already means a lot as regards European Union's approach towards Trump's ideas. And I think even though we don't have the full unity, I think that at the end of the day, in the European Union's best understood interest would be to have a unified approach, not counting Hungary, maybe not counting Slovakia. We'll see. I'm not sure if Slovakia was even invited, probably not. But in any case, not to participate in that, even though Viktor Orban has already agreed. Let's not forget that the countries you've just mentioned, you've just enlisted, it's not a good company for us. I mean, it's dictators and smart Alex. I mean, it's not really countries that we should dream of being together in.
But at the same time, I want to challenge that. What I'm not, I don't want to say that just for argument's sake. If we look at the United Nations, I mean, that is something that's been built off of years and decades of multilateralism, come out of the Second World War. But at the end of the day, the Security Council does include the Russian Federation, China. It includes many other member states. So, I mean, at the same time, we may have problems with these nations at the moment, but they are still part of the United Nations. So that's why I just kind of want to reconcile. We don't want to be part of the Board of Peace, but yet these are still UN member states. So I'm just trying to see what your view is there. But really quickly, because I'm limited of time with you, and I want to get the best questions out. Poland's position in all this. Looking at how the president of Poland, Nawrocki, has received an invitation, that isn't so easy for him to accept. How do you think this coordination will go down between the government and the president? What signal does that send?
Okay, so coming back to the United Nations, let's not forget that it was the Second World War, which was won by allies and, of course, by the Soviet Union as well. Therefore, Russia, as an inheritant of the Soviet Union, is included in the Security Council. China is the largest country, as regards many aspects in the world, one of the largest. So it shouldn't be excluded either. Maybe now we should rethink the United Nations and the Security Council, but it should also take time. While Donald Trump invites those leaders and gives them 3 days, forgetting that we have also something like a process of ratification, parliamentary systems, democracies also in the European Union. So Donald Trump imagines, I think, here that we act like the United States under his control, that it's just like this and decisions are made. Obviously, it's not true. through, and no society within the European Union will allow itself act according to what Donald Trump expects. But coming back to the Poland approach here, we are in to be euphemistic, a difficult situation, obviously, because we are an ally of the United States, and we depend to a large extent, our security depends on the United States. Also, when we shifted from purchasing oil and gas from Russia, we moved towards purchasing in particular gas from the United States. The whole European Union actually has done so. So now we are dependent also from that point of view on the United States, and we have to be very careful. And I hear the diplomats speaking and the politicians in Poland speaking very carefully and cautiously about that. I think that our approach now, I mean Poland's approach, because for the moment there is no crack between the presidential palace and the government in Poland. There is also no clear unified approach. That's a different thing. But at least there is no conflict which would be visible in public between the president and the government. But at the end of the day, let's not forget that it would require ratification of membership in something like Board of Peace. It would require a consent of the Polish Parliament, and this would have to be initiative of the government. So President himself will not be able to join this board without a consent of the government. The question is what the government will do, of course, and what our parliament will do. I think for the moment they will just simply try to gain as much time as possible to prolong this process and see what happens and see who joins this board and what the approach of the European Union will be. I think that the Polish government should definitely go towards this unified approach, if there is one, and I do deeply hope there will be one.
All right.
On the European level.
Yeah, if there will be one, much more to discuss. But look, we'll close it there. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure there. That was our guest, Renata Mieńkowska-Norkiene.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
And thank you for joining us, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.